How you doing, YouTube? Matt, Massive Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. A little bit of old school in the new school in the form of Paulaner Brewing. It's their original Munich lager in cans, mind you. Yeah, this is the first time I've ever seen this in cans. I'm pretty sure it is the first time ever in cans. Paulaner reached out to me like a year ago. Been like, hey man, we'd love to throw some beers your way. And I was like, fuck yeah, man, I love me some Paulaner. I can get down with that. Nothing ever came. And then randomly about a month ago, they're like, hey, we'd like to send you some beers. And I was like, okay. I didn't say anything about finally. But they're like, yeah, we're coming out with our the Munich lager in their original Hef in cans. I'll do that one too. Probably go up the same day. And I said, yeah, man, give them a whirl. I have never reviewed them. It's a beer I've had quite a few of, so it kind of works for me. So there you go. Let's see what she's got. As far as what it says in here, Paulaner original Munich lager. Yeah, 4.9% alcohol by volume. That'd be that. It is, probably years since I've had this. The Hef I've had quite a bit more. That's kind of one of your staple beers that you end up finding kind of, at your kind of airports and stuff like that. Not so much nowadays. You see a lot of good beer around, but it tends to be that kind of beer that you can find in if nothing else is available. Not that I want to put it in that kind of pigeonhole that way, but it's a beer that's always going to be kind of there if you need to look for it. Classic labeling, just in that kind of 16-ounce format can-wise. And then what do you have there? Just a super clean, crisp looking kind of lager. Now, talk about a Munich lager. When I think of Munich lagers, I think of something a little bit more dark. I think of more of your Marzen color. But, I mean, that is lager through and through. Super clean, super crisp, super clear. A little bit of kind of soapy, rocky white edges on a crisp white kind of head. She looks beautiful, to be perfectly honest with you. Let's see if I can get a nose. A little sniffly. I mean, there's a little bit of kind of almost like a Pilsner malty kind of sweetness to it. A little bit of soft, funky lager vibes. And not much as far as bittering goes. Not really getting any kind of hop presence whatsoever. Just a little bit of that soft lagering. A little bit of sweet maltiness. Let's dive in. Cheers. Okay. The sweetness is not nearly as big as you'd think it'd be based off the nose, because, especially with me, it was a little bit sweeter in the nose. I thought it would kind of lean that way. You do get a nice bittering to it, but it's probably at equal level with the sweetness, but the bittering seems a little bit bigger because you don't expect it based off how the nose kind of comes through. Each sip I'm taking, that bitterness grows and grows a little bit. Very generic, very simple. Not kind of old school, kind of noble, hoppy kind of bitterness with not much else to it. But here's the thing. It's a lager. It's a low ABV lager. It's a classic lager. That's kind of what they're supposed to do. I love me some new school lagers. I like it when they're expressive in different ways. Well, if you're talking about a beer, it's meant to be drank. It's meant to be chugged. It's meant to be maybe not dissected or fawned over, but it's meant to be, because you can do that, and we're doing that right now, but it's meant to be drank, and that's what this beer is. It's clean. It's crisp. There's no negative to it. It has that nice pop of bitterness. There's not a big sweet component, so it's not going to kind of weigh heavily on that kind of cloying side of your palate. Not that it would ever get that way, but over time, sometimes, especially, I don't want to call this macro level stuff, because there's definitely more depth and more nuance and more quality to this than macro lager, but those kind of corn-laden kind of beers can get a little bit sweet on the palate. This is never going to get there. It's going to give you enough bitterness, kind of drive you through the beer. And this is, I've said this before, this is a beer that drives your day and not the conversation. Again, like I said, you can talk about it, but all in all, it's just a tasty, super chuggable beer. Through and through. Lacking a little bit of personality, but at the same time, that is what it's supposed to be doing. And it's doing it pretty damn fucking good. So there you go. Let's talk about it. Is it one of the better lagers that I've had as of late? It's not on the outside. It's not on the inside. It's on that edge. It's tasty. It's drinkable. It's chuggable. I dig it. But at the same time, it's not going to set itself apart other than its kind of simpleness. And I don't mean that in an overtly negative way. It's simple. It's clean. It's crisp. that's not a bad thing sometimes, especially if you want to chug some beers. Value and availability, it's Paulaner. More times than not, you can definitely find these at a very reasonable price point. You're almost going to be able to find Paulaner anywhere you go, especially if you have decent distribution of beers in general. You're going to find them more often than not in your kind of easy access areas, whether it be your bodega or your gas station or your grocery store, stuff like that. You're going to find them and leave you with, if you like what we like this. If you want to go out with your boys, fishing, golfing, whatever you're doing, and you want to chug some beers, but you want to chug good beer, that's kind of where this beer lands for me. This is where you kind of step up from your macro lager and you want something that's going to bring you to that place, but with something that's a little bit more well made, a little bit more, I don't know, gooder. This is going to do you proper. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there, if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers, if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive, if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of a macro lager. Why did I say that right now? Munich lager right now. And hopefully see you next time. Cheers.